What if the very things you've been holding on to are the same things holding you back? What if the habits, the labels, the voices you've allowed to shape you were never meant to stay with you in the first place? Sometimes we don't even realize it. We carry weight we were never designed to bear. We wear it like a coat, a layer, a badge we didn't ask for. And with time, it becomes normal, comfortable, familiar. But just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's right. Let's get this straight. You are not here to fit into the mold the world made for you. You are not here to shrink yourself into someone else's expectations. You were created on purpose, for a purpose. And yet, somewhere along the way, you may have forgotten that. Life has a way of whispering lies when the truth goes quiet. You're too much. You're not enough. You're falling short. And piece by piece, you start covering yourself in things that don't belong to you. Shame, guilt, fear, doubt. These are not clothes you were meant to wear. But here's the truth. The version of you that feels stuck, exhausted, burnt out, trying to keep up, trying to be enough, that's not the real you. That's the version shaped by pain, fear, and survival. That's the version shaped by judgment, religion without relationship, and pressure without peace. And the reason it feels heavy is because it is. There's power in awareness. And today, you're going to feel something stir inside you, a call to remember, a call to return to the woman you were always meant to be, strong, courageous, rooted in truth, covered in grace. You don't need to hustle for approval. You don't need to compete for love. You don't need to wear what they told you to wear just to feel like you belong. You've already been chosen. You've already been called. You've already been made whole. But none of that truth will ever feel real if you keep wrapping yourself in the lies of a world that doesn't know your worth. You can't hear the voice of God clearly when you're drowning in the noise of opinions. You can't feel joy when you're suffocating under the weight of comparison. And you can't live freely when you're wearing chains that look like jewelry. Let this be your moment. A moment to pause, to breathe, to ask yourself, what am I still wearing that God already asked me to lay down? Because if you can be brave enough to take it off, whatever it is, you'll finally have room to receive something greater. You'll stop surviving and start living. You'll stop pretending and start becoming. This isn't about judgment. This isn't about appearance. This is about freedom. This is about your spirit. This is about knowing who you are and walking in it with authority. Because when a woman knows who she is in Christ, she becomes unstoppable. Her confidence doesn't come from compliments. Her peace doesn't depend on circumstances. Her worth is not up for negotiation. She walks different. She speaks different. She lives on purpose, with purpose. That's the kind of woman the world needs more of. That's the kind of woman you already are, beneath the layers, beyond the labels, underneath the lies. And that's exactly why you're here. You didn't click this by accident. Something in your spirit is ready to let go, ready to rise, ready to return home to who you were always meant to be. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you're not just going to know what to let go of. You're going to feel lighter, stronger, and more grounded than ever before. This isn't just another video. This is your invitation, your permission, your moment to begin again with clarity, courage, and conviction. Let's uncover the truth together. Keep listening. You're closer than you think. You've been carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders for far too long, not because you're weak, but because somewhere deep down, you believed it was your responsibility to hold it all together, to be the strong one, the quiet one, the one who never complains, never asks for help, never lets anyone see her fall apart. And while that strength is admirable, it's also exhausting, because no one was meant to carry that kind of weight alone. You see, when you walk through life constantly trying to prove your worth, you start to collect burdens that were never meant to be yours. Other people's expectations, their disappointments, their judgments. You carry the words that broke you, the silence that scarred you, the pressure that made you question your identity. But just because you've been carrying it doesn't mean it belongs to you. There's a part of you that has gotten so used to this heaviness that you don't even question it anymore. You've learned to smile with it, to work through it, to pray with it, sitting on your chest like a stone. But let's be clear, God didn't call you to carry the weight of everyone else's opinions. He didn't design you to live in the shadows of fear or under the thumb of approval. You weren't made to blend in or shrink down. You were made to rise. You've been waiting for someone to give you permission to let it go. But maybe the only person who needed to say yes is you. Yes to rest. Yes to healing. Yes to letting go of what doesn't reflect your value. You don't have to keep wearing what's been tearing you down. You don't have to keep pretending everything's fine when your soul is crying out for something deeper. This is your moment to take a breath and loosen your grip. The world will try to hand you its weight again tomorrow, but now you know better. Now you know you weren't meant to carry it. You were meant to be free. There's something about shame that wraps itself around you so quietly you barely notice it's there. It creeps in after the mistakes, the regrets, the moments you wish you could erase. It lingers in your thoughts, hides behind your smile, and attaches itself to your identity like it belongs. But shame is not part of who you are. It's something you were never meant to wear. Shame tells you you're unworthy. It whispers that you're not enough. It convinces you that your past disqualifies you from your purpose. And over time, those whispers start to sound like truth. So you start to hide your voice, your gifts, your story. You play small. You stay quiet. You keep your head down because shame makes you forget the power of who you are. But let's be honest, shame is a liar. And worse than that, it's a thief. It steals your confidence. It robs you of your joy. It locks you in cycles that keep you from stepping into the life you were made for. But the moment you stop treating shame like a part of you and start calling it what it is, you take your power back. You take your identity back. You were never meant to wear shame like it's yours to keep. You were meant to walk in freedom. And freedom doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from owning your story and realizing that nothing you've done can cancel out the grace that's been given to you. Your past isn't something to be buried. It's something to be healed. And healing begins the moment you stop hiding. So today, take it off. That old voice in your head that keeps replaying what went wrong. That weight on your heart that says you're damaged. That silence that says you don't deserve to be seen. You're not your worst moment. You're not your broken season. You are redeemed. You are covered. You are whole. And it's time to start walking like it. Guilt is a heavy cloak. And for too many, it's been worn for years without question. It doesn't scream like shame. It whispers. It lingers in the back of your mind after the apology, after the prayer, after the tears. It makes you feel like you haven't done enough, haven't been enough, like you still owe the world a debt you'll never repay. And the most dangerous part? Guilt often disguises itself as responsibility, as humility, as being a good person. But it's not humility when it's crushing you. It's not responsibility when it steals your peace. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that guilt was the price for growth, that punishing yourself was part of the process. But guilt that stays after grace is not from God. It's not there to teach you, it's there to trap you. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you wish some things were different. But if you keep wearing guilt like it's your second skin, you'll never step into the freedom that was already bought for you. There's a difference between conviction and guilt. Conviction moves you forward. It calls you higher. It invites change. But guilt chains you to the past. It plays the same scene over and over until you forget that you're allowed to start again. And you are. You are allowed to grow, to change, to move on. You are allowed to forgive yourself. Not because what happened didn't matter, but because you finally understand your healing matters more. It's time to take off that guilt. It's time to stop letting it define your worth, your choices, your future. You don't need to keep paying for something that's already been forgiven. You don't need to keep replaying what you can't rewrite. Your story isn't over because of a chapter you wish you could skip. It's being rewritten every time you decide to believe in grace instead of guilt. You are not the mistakes you made. You are the lessons you learned. You are the courage to rise. And now is the moment you begin to walk lighter, with nothing on you that was never yours to carry. Perfectionism is a trap, dressed up as excellence. It looks admirable on the outside, neat, polished, in control, but underneath it's driven by fear. Fear of being seen as not enough, fear of failing, fear of being judged. And when you wear perfectionism like armor, it doesn't protect you. It isolates you. It makes you believe that your worth is measured by how flawless you appear, how much you achieve, or how little you struggle. But here's the truth. Perfectionism is not strength. It's pressure. It's the constant need to prove yourself, to meet impossible standards, to never mess up, to always have it together. And it's exhausting. Because no matter how hard you try, perfection is never satisfied. It always demands more, do more, be more, fix more, smile more. And somewhere in that cycle, you lose yourself. You weren't created to perform. You were created to live, to feel, to grow. And growth is messy. Real strength isn't in never falling. It's in standing back up with grace. It's in learning to let go of control and trusting that even when things fall apart, you are still held together by something bigger than yourself. The problem with perfectionism is it doesn't just keep you from making mistakes. It keeps you from making moves. It paralyzes you in the name of preparation. It silences your voice out of fear it won't come out perfectly. But your purpose doesn't require perfection. It requires courage. It requires presence. It requires your real, honest self, the one that has flaws, emotions, and depth. So let yourself be human. Let yourself be real. Take off the need to impress, to be polished, to always be okay. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you stop trying to be perfect and start choosing to be authentic. That's when peace comes in. That's when purpose ignites. That's when people connect with you, not because you're flawless, but because you're true. You don't need to wear perfection to be powerful. You already are. Living under the fear of judgment is like walking through life with chains around your soul. You second-guess your words, your choices, your dreams, all because of what someone might say, what someone might think. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to live for their approval instead of your own truth. You dim your light. You shrink your voice. You edit yourself down to fit into boxes you were never meant to fit in. But the truth is, no matter what you do, someone will have something to say. You could live the most careful life, and still, you'll be judged. You'll be misunderstood. You'll be criticized. So if judgment is inevitable, why not be judged while standing tall in your purpose instead of hiding in fear? Fear of judgment doesn't just steal your peace. It delays your calling. It keeps you quiet when you're meant to speak. It keeps you still when you're meant to move. And the saddest part, it convinces you that you have to earn the right to be seen. But you don't. You never did. You were created to be seen. You were designed to carry something unique. And if you keep waiting for everyone to approve it before you release it, you'll wait your whole life. The people who judge you don't define you. Their opinions are not your truth. Their silence is not your failure. And their rejection is not your identity. You don't need to explain your heart to everyone who misunderstands it. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. When you live from the inside out instead of the outside in, you take your power back. And that power isn't loud, it's steady. It's the kind of quiet confidence that can't be shaken by opinions. Let them talk. Let them question. Let them judge. Because when your life is built on purpose, not performance, nothing they say can stop what God already started in you. You don't need their approval to rise. You just need the courage to stop waiting for it. When you spend your life chasing approval, you end up wearing a mask that suffocates who you really are. It starts with small compromises, changing how you talk, hiding what you feel, pretending to agree when your soul is screaming no. You tell yourself it's easier this way, that keeping the peace is worth the cost. But the cost adds up, and over time, you forget who you were before the mask. Approval is addictive because it feels good in the moment. The compliments, the attention, the acceptance. But what you trade for that approval is far more valuable. Your authenticity, your voice, your peace. You were never meant to live performing for applause. You were meant to live aligned with your purpose. The need for approval keeps you stuck in cycles that look successful on the outside, but feel empty on the inside. You're saying yes to things you don't want, staying in places you've outgrown, and tolerating what your spirit is begging you to walk away from. And why? Because you're afraid that if you stop pleasing them, they'll stop loving you. But real love doesn't require you to lose yourself. Real love doesn't demand the mask. You were not created to be palatable. You were created to be powerful. And that power isn't found in being liked. It's found in being real. When you take off the mask, not everyone will clap. Some will walk away. Some will criticize. But the ones who stay, they'll love you for who you actually are, not who you've been pretending to be. It's time to break free from the addiction of being liked. Approval can't give you what you already have. You are already accepted, already chosen, already worthy. So stop shrinking, stop apologizing, stop performing. The world needs your raw, unfiltered truth, not your polished mask. Be bold enough to show up as you, because that version of you, the honest, imperfect, powerful you, is the one who changes everything. When you forget who you are, you start believing you're what the world says you are. You begin measuring your value by what you see in the mirror, what others say behind your back, or how much attention you get in a room. But identity built on shifting ground will always leave you anxious, empty, and unsure. That's why so many people feel like they're chasing something, but can't name what it is. They're chasing identity, chasing something stable in a world that constantly moves. But identity isn't something you earn. It's something you receive. And it doesn't come from trends, status, relationships, or social media. It comes from truth. You are not what you wear. You are not your past. You are not the label someone gave you in your weakest moment. You are who God says you are. And that truth doesn't change with the opinions of people or the storms of life. There is a power in being rooted. When you know who you are, you stop being shaken by every criticism. You stop performing for validation. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. Your worth becomes steady because it's not based on the temporary, it's anchored in the eternal. You were chosen before anyone ever had the chance to reject you. You were seen before anyone ever overlooked you. And you were called long before anyone tried to label you. When you embrace that, your whole life shifts. Your voice gets stronger. Your decisions get clearer. Your heart gets lighter. Because you're no longer living to prove, you're living to be. You don't have to search for your identity in the wrong places anymore. You already have it. It's been spoken over you since the beginning. You are loved. You are enough. You are set apart. You are made for more. And when you believe that, truly believe it, you stop chasing approval and start walking in authority. When you truly understand your worth, everything begins to change. Not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you stop settling for less than what you deserve. You stop tolerating things that dishonor your spirit. You stop allowing people to treat you like you're ordinary when you were never meant to be. Psychology teaches us that people act according to how they see themselves. So if you've been walking through life feeling small, it's not because you are, it's because somewhere along the way, you stopped seeing your own value. Your worth isn't something you can earn through hustle or lose through failure. It's not based on performance. It's not based on what others think of you. It's not even based on what you think of yourself on your worst day. Your worth is fixed, constant, unshakable. And until you believe that deep in your bones, you'll keep chasing things that don't fill you. You'll keep saying yes when you want to say no. You'll keep shrinking when you're meant to rise. You are not too much. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are human, growing, becoming, rising. You deserve to be seen without performing, loved without earning it, and respected without having to explain why. But that starts with you, with how you speak to yourself, with how you carry yourself, with how you protect your peace and honor your own voice. You've spent too long measuring your value by the wrong scale. It's time to redefine it. Your worth isn't up for debate. It never was. Stop letting people who don't know your story write your identity. Stop letting old wounds dictate new decisions. Stand in the truth of who you are. Because when you know your worth, you stop begging for crumbs. You build a life that reflects the truth. You are enough, just as you are. And no one can take that from you. Letting go is one of the hardest things we do, especially when it comes to parts of ourselves we thought were permanent. We cling to old labels, past mistakes, and painful memories because they feel familiar, even when they hurt us. But true freedom begins the moment you decide to release what no longer serves you. Letting go is not forgetting or denying your past. It's choosing not to let it control your future. Spiritually, letting go is an act of faith. It's trusting that there is something greater waiting for you on the other side of your pain, fear, and doubt. It's believing that when you set down the burdens you've been carrying, you make space for joy, peace, and purpose. Letting go means you no longer have to carry the weight of shame, guilt, or fear. It means you're willing to be vulnerable, to be honest, and to be brave. Human psychology shows that holding on to what hurts us keeps us stuck in patterns that don't lead to growth. When you hold on tightly to what's familiar, even if it's painful, you resist the change you need. But the moment you loosen your grip, you open yourself to healing. You create room for new experiences, new relationships, and new dreams. Letting go isn't a one-time event. It's a practice. Some days it feels impossible. Some days it feels like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But each time you choose to release what weighs you down, you grow stronger. You reclaim your power. You honor the woman God created you to be. Today, make a choice. Choose to lay down the heaviness that isn't yours to carry. Choose to step out of the chains of the past and into the freedom of your future. It won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Because when you let go, you're not losing. You're gaining everything you were meant to have all along. When you take off what weighs you down, you make room for something greater. Faith, grace, and boldness aren't just words. They are the clothes that fit your soul perfectly. They are the armor that protects your heart without suffocating it. They are the light that guides you through the darkest valleys and into the promise of a new day. Faith is the foundation. It's the quiet assurance that even when you can't see the way forward, you are being led. Faith is not blind hope. It's trust built on the unchanging truth of who God is and who you are in Him. When you wear faith, you walk with confidence, knowing that every step has meaning, every struggle has purpose, and every moment is part of your story. Grace is the gift that covers your imperfections and mistakes. It reminds you that you don't have to earn love or forgiveness. It's already yours. Grace frees you from the pressure to be perfect or to perform to earn your place. When you wear grace, you carry peace. You extend kindness to yourself on the hard days. You accept the journey, including the stumbles, as part of your growth. Boldness is the courage to stand in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's the strength to say no to what doesn't serve you, and yes to what sets your heart on fire. Boldness isn't loud or reckless. It's steady and sure. It's the voice that says, I am enough. I am chosen. I am here for a reason. When you wear boldness, you become unstoppable. These aren't just things to put on. They are the essence of a woman who knows her worth and walks with purpose. When you replace shame, guilt, fear, and the need for approval with faith, grace, and boldness, you step into your true power. You don't just survive, you thrive. You don't just exist, you lead. And the world feels the difference when you show up fully dressed in who you were meant to be. You were never meant to blend in or to follow the crowd. You were never created to shrink down or to dim your light for the comfort of others. You were made to stand out, to rise up, and to lead with the unique light only you carry. The world needs your voice, your courage, your truth, more than you realize. Too often, we try to fit into shapes and sizes that don't honor who we really are. We try to silence our passions to avoid conflict. We settle for less because it feels safer. But safety is a trap disguised as comfort. True freedom comes when you stop living to meet the expectations of others and start living to fulfill your God-given purpose. When you stop wearing what the world says you should be and start wearing who you are, everything changes. Your steps become bolder because you know where you're going. Your voice becomes clearer because you're speaking from a place of truth. Your heart becomes lighter because you're no longer weighed down by fear or doubt. You have a calling that's bigger than approval, bigger than fear, bigger than the past that tried to define you. You were created for greatness, not just in your achievements, but in your character, your faith, your love. When you embrace that, you become a beacon. You inspire others to stand up, to believe, and to become. The journey won't always be easy. You will face resistance. You will face moments when you want to give up. But remember this, you are not alone. There is strength within you, power surrounding you, and a purpose guiding you. You were made for this moment, and the world is waiting for the light only you can shine. So rise, stand tall, walk boldly in the truth of who you are. You were never meant to fit in, you were meant to stand out. And when you do, you change everything.